Non-speech oral motor exercises refer to the physical training of one's articulators, including the lips, jaw, tongue, respiratory muscles, and all related speech mechanisms. Oftentimes, this treatment is done by an SLP, with the intention of developing one's speaking abilities without using direct speech.
9, 10. So that was a little difficult because you were having a little quiver there. The idea is to do these 10 times for 10 seconds each, if you can hold it that long. And the next one is to do a pucker. So you're just going to squeeze the lips tight.
Although non-speech oral motor exercises have been practiced for years, decades at that, the treatment method is seen as controversial. Us grad students, a part of Stockton University's Communication, Sciences, and Disorders program, want to know why a treatment so controversial is still being practiced today. And for that reason, we decided to ask the opinion and experiences of some practicing clinicians.
Hi everyone, I am Jen McIlvain. I'm a speech pathologist.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy Castle. I am in the Master of Science program in Communication Disorders. I specialize in medical speech language pathology, which I refer to as the dark side.
Hi, I'm Amanda Copes and I'm the director of the Stockton Speech and Hearing Clinic.
I saw people kind of use them in therapy, and I've actually used them myself as well.
I will say from a literature perspective, like the last poll that they took was probably in the early to mid 2000s, and at that time 85% of people were doing non-speech oral motor exercises, myself included.
I have seen it done in hospital settings when the patient might be presenting with dysarthria or low tone oral motor weakness. To try and do the exercises to strengthen the tongue, to strengthen the lips.
People are still doing these exercises regardless of the fact that a lot of the literature is saying that they're not really effective. The literature is really pointing to the fact that children, it's not effective for articulation. Here we go. In fact, children with articulation issues actually usually have stronger articulators. They actually are overcompensating, and that is one of the reasons that they don't think oral motor exercises work. So with children, I haven't had a lot of success except with eating.
I had a client that had oral apraxia, so not just apraxia of speech, but also that oral component, and she wasn't able to smile on command. So kind of to start the session, we would do our mouth warm-ups, I would call them. So we would practice holding a smile.
I've had a lot of luck with feeding and swallowing, yeah, but not so much with articulation. And the literature sort of supports. But again, it's dependent on the person, because if a person has a certain type of brain injury that's more permanent or is less, likely to resolve, then I don't see the same thing. But I always like to throw everything at everything. Trial and error all the time. That's how you get results. So.
But let's say, for example, I was teaching production of L. I might do some tongue elevation exercises to have the client lift the tongue up to the alveolar ridge and back down again, and do that 10 times so that they get used to the elevation of the tongue and where the placement is. But then I would transition that into the sound production, and to me that's where my outcomes would be measured, is in the sound production. Because maybe people are trying to connect just singular oral motor exercises to functional outcomes. So if you want your client to be able to chew a bolus appropriately, you might have them doing tongue exercises, moving side to side, and then you put something in their mouth and see if they can move things side to side. But in the end result, you actually have a speech or swallowing function that you should be measuring, and not just whether or not they can move the tongue from side to side. They should be connecting together.
No, I definitely don't. I think that I'm very into holistic approaches, and functional is the way to go. So the non-speech aspect of oral motor exercises has to be functionally driven.
I would always pair it with something else. So with that client that I mentioned, that was one of her goals, but I didn't just have the focus of my therapy be on her ability to smile and kind of coordinate her muscles for doing that. You kind of want to see the whole picture, so not just that one isolated skill.
I think there is a purpose for it. but I don't necessarily see it as standing alone. So I think it should be connected to something that is more functional.
It depends if you have that individual that has trouble maybe coordinating their muscles and you wanted to kind of do some warm-ups per se to kind of get them ready and have their articulators in the position where they should be. That's definitely something I would consider.
I think they should understand them and understand the purpose of it, but always be thinking about what is the functional outcome that you're looking for. So how can you connect to those exercises? You should know what those exercises are, but how they could connect to the functional outcomes.
I think it's important to know what they are, to know what they do, to see where you can and can't use them. Evidence-based practice is everything, and not, I like to think that I've been doing evidence-based practice for a really long time. I don't have time to publish as much as I'd like, but the fact is that you have to form your own opinions, and that comes from experience. So that's one more thing for your toolbox. So the answer is yes.
All right, thank you so much for all your time.